right, everybody, welcome to After the Close. We are here. It is November. Happy Expiration Friday. With me here this month is Mr. Sean Harris. Sean, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me, Michael.
Thanks. Tell everybody what you do. I'm a little excited about something with you on.
Absolutely, yeah. So I am a writer and actor down in Atlanta, Georgia. I've been down here working for about a year and a half, and it hasn't been a lot of work, because there's been a strike going on for about half a year, 6 months. So everybody's been out of work, and we're just waiting for that to end so I can get back into just going for my ultimate goals. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. Went to film school down in Florida and at Full Sail University. And a lot of my buddies who I went to college with live here, and they've been helping me along the way, like finding networking, finding outlets. And so, like I said, I've been down here for about a year and a half, and so far, so good, kind of, a little bit. It's going. It's going.
Great. I know that attitude well. When you say it's going.
Yeah,
it's going for me too lately. Believe me. But I'm interested to understand, because a lot of people that I like to have on here, and I've said this before, I like to get people who are not necessarily in financial services and trading, because who wants to talk about the exact same thing you talk about all day, right? What really interests me a lot of the time is actually the unlikely similarities that a lot of the financial services professionals handle, along with people who are in totally different areas of the world.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
So, you're a young guy. I know that, when you're getting into acting and writing, and tell me, like, what is like a day-to-day like for you doing something like that? Because I get up, I have to either log in or go to the office, and I know it's a 9 to 5, and it's a very much like that humdrum. I could be Dwight Schrute from The Office, quite frankly. But something like what you're doing, that's totally different. Am I right or wrong?
With the writing, so they both kind of have a different sense about them. With the day-to-day with writing, it can be very day-to-day. It is typically, it's kind of almost ritualistic. You want to hit, like, a lot of writers like myself, we try to do at least 2 pages a day. So that we've at least accomplished something.
Is that on loose sleep? Like, what are 2 pages a day? Is that like double space type 8 font?
It is. It is 2 pages. It's whatever it winds up being. I mean, because when you write, typically, the only way to really measure it is 2 pages is usually 2 minutes. You write 2 pages on script, it winds up being 2 minutes in when you're actually filming. Whether you're writing dialogue or action is really, because a lot of action is going to take up a lot more space than a lot of dialogue, just how spacing works in script format. Because you have, like, action is just paragraph after paragraph after paragraph. Dialogue is a name, a line, somebody else's name, what they're saying.
Right. I know George Lucas was famous when he did Star Wars. I know George Lucas was famous for writing in the script, "They fight." That's the one line he writes in there, and it's like Duel of the Fates and all. They
this
fight.
This great 9-minute super choreographed fight takes up 1/8 of a page.
Right, because he writes "They fight" and that's it.
Yeah.
So I guess we should take a step back. You're writing. I mean, you're not writing the next great American novel. You're writing these are screenplays.
Yeah, these are screenplays. It's an entirely different format of writing.
Okay.
Which realistically, there's actually not a format, because everybody writes in different ways. But you do have this sense of, it's almost written out like a play would be. So you have your paragraphs of what people are doing, and then somebody's name, what they say. Somebody's name, what they say.
Mm-hmm.
It's not exactly, you call it being written in prose when you write a book. Where it's like, Andreas sat on the bench weeping as he thought of his dead wife. We don't say that in scripts. In script, you say he sits on the bench. He holds a photo of his wife. He looks longingly. It's so much more so much less specific and more wordy. It's so descriptive in a non-figurative way.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. It's a stage direction. It gives a lot of different types of actions and thoughts and feelings to actually kind of give you some sort of structure built in.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because especially if you're a writer that's not trying to direct, you don't want to put emotion on the page, because that is something that you want your director to figure out, or your actors to figure out. You know, sometimes you want to write a piece that doesn't you don't know what people are thinking, give it to somebody and be like, hey, act it out. What are you getting from this? You know, how do you see these people reacting in this situation? Is he yelling or is he crying? You know?
Sure. Okay. That's a little bit in the storytelling aspect of it.
Absolutely.
All of that sort of thing. Can you tell me a little bit about how the business of something like that works? I mean,
yeah.
Are you in do you get paid by the word? Like, how does that work?
So something kind of close to it. So when there's a lot of ways to make money off of writing scripts. So two of those ways is ones that probably happens the most often, which is when a script is bought and when a script is optioned.
Okay.
So when a script is bought, typically it is from you have the writer who writes it, and then you have the agent that the writer has that markets the script to these big companies like Netflix and Disney and Universal. And they're like, okay, so we are selling it for this amount of money. If you buy it for this amount of money, you have complete control over the script. It is no longer the writer no longer has its rights.
You've sold it. It is owned by somebody else.
Absolutely. It is their property. You have no ownership over it whatsoever. Only in that you wrote the story. That is it.
Can I just take this? This might get a little too wonky for you, but I'm curious. So, in the markets, like if you're trading stocks, bonds, foreign exchange, whatever, you have this concept of clearing, and in clearing, depending on there's different forms of it depending on what products you're trading. But the bottom line is you have some sort of middleman who ensures that the buyer and the seller do what they're supposed to. And that exists, and that's to reduce the risk of somebody getting screwed, quite frankly.
Okay, yeah, that would probably be like the agent, for the writer in this scenario.
I gotcha. So yeah, what I was driving with that is there any sort of not a tool, but an organization or maybe a mechanism where you guys can make sure that your copyrights and your trademarks and all of that are being handled properly? Like nobody steals your script and then just rolls with it, or
Absolutely, yeah. There is probably it's much more of a popular organization now more than ever is something called the WGA, which is the Writers Guild of America. And so when you sell something as a writer, you will probably immediately be contacted by the WGA. They are pretty much hounding to find writers to sign them up. Yes, absolutely. They are going after writers left and right. If you write something and it gets sold, they want you in the WGA.
So are you a member of the WGA right now?
I am not a member of the WGA. I have not sold anything yet.
Okay. All right.
It is a bit of a process to be able to sell things to actually get to the point where you're in the room with to sell a script. Where it comes from, you have to have a certain amount of material to actually be able to get an agent, because they're not going to. An agent isn't going to want to advise represent you. Thank you.
Huh?
Isn't going to want to represent you if they're only going to make money off of one script that you have, if they make any money off of that script at all.
Sure, I
It
understand.
could be, it could be they want options. They want, hey, so you have like these 3 scripts, one horror, one western, one action. We're gonna see who's gonna bite on what script, because not every script is for everybody. We have options. This one might make money, this one might not make money, but at least I have something that options to give to the people that we are selling your scripts to. Like, hey, this guy has 3 movies. Maybe one of them you like. We'll see what's gonna bite.
So you always want to have a repertoire, a portfolio of ideas.
Portfolio,
So you can
portfolio is the best way to put it.
Okay, all right. So I'm starting to get it now, and I imagine these things are not very. It's not like you're getting a paycheck every 2 weeks when you're doing stuff like this.
No.
You're most likely trying to. You're stretching out any sales you might have. You don't know when the next thing's going to come around. It's a lot of that.
So that actually
pretty much sounds like commission.
Yeah, it is. It's freelance work, and it absolutely freelance work. Even though you are part of a union, this is a union job. It is all mostly freelance work. The only time that you would see somebody that is actively getting paycheck after paycheck is somebody that works in a writer's room. That's for TV, and that's for like serialized TV. So something like on CBS or NBC, like Big Bang Theory, 2.5 Men, Two Broke Girls. Stuff like that.
Like you're writing like CSI episodes.
Yeah, exactly. It's something that is going to be on TV for a very long time. That has been on TV for. CSI, Criminal Minds. Those movies have been on for over a decade, easily.
That's true.
Maybe even
sure they get different writers over time, though.
Absolutely. You see writers come in and out. Mostly, there's typically. With most shows, you have one writer that sticks on for the entire thing. It's the person that created it. They're known as the showrunner. Okay. So the showrunner pretty much created the entire series. He hires the writer's room, and he comes up with the ideas. He gives them out to, okay, so hey, for episode 1, we're going to do this. You're going to write it. For episode 2, we're going to do this. You're going to write it. Mm-hmm. You're going to bring me the scripts. I'm pretty much like editor-in-chief. Then I change the script to how I want the story to go, or I give edits back and be like, "Hey, change this." Maybe this is episode 8. It's way too far off for me to be looking at it and actually writing stuff down for this. So make these changes, bring it back to me. So that's a showrunner. He if people watched Breaking Bad, a guy named Vince Gilligan.
Okay.
Usually it'll be the credit right before. Like Breaking Bad comes up, it says created by Vince Gilligan. That is your showrunner. That's the guy that made the entire show.
Okay. I remember that. Yeah, he would. They'd always have his credits as the created and everything else. I remember. Okay. All right. I get it. So the showrunner is. I'm working it through in my head now.
Yeah.
So what are you working on down there in Atlanta right now? Are you involved with any of those types of things?
So right now, I'm doing all independent work. It is my scripts. It is my ideas. I'm not working for anybody. I'm trying to build up my portfolio, my dossier, so that somebody I can get an agent or a manager, and they can bring me, be like, hey, like this guy, this is his work. Do you like any of his material? Currently, I'm working on 1 feature and 2 TV pilots. One of them is technically a miniseries. So it's a miniseries pilot. And the miniseries, for people that don't know, is just a limited run TV show where it's like 6 episodes or like. I think most
people know what a miniseries is.
Yeah, just in case. And then 1 TV, like almost. For people know that there's a lot of different TV out there where they have like the 1-hour shows, they're like Game of Thrones that run for 10 episodes, and then they have something like Big Bang Theory that 30 minutes runs for like 22 episodes. I'm writing a 22-minute comedy as well that would kind of be along the lines of like a sitcom, 22 to 30 episodes a season. And then a feature and a miniseries pilot.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah.
So you're starting to build up your dossier, as you said. That's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's a big difference between, I guess, what you do and some of the more financial related things. The closest I could think of is if you're a broker and you have to pitch stocks to people. but that's such an antiquated idea of being like in like a boiler room. Did you? So you've seen The Wolf of Wall Street, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yes. So the Wolf of Wall Street is based that Jordan Belfort, as played by Leonardo DiCaprio, was an absolutely real person.
Yes, absolutely. I know that. I actually know him. I feel like I knew him before Wolf of Wall Street. I don't know why, but I feel like maybe something had come out.
So the movie Boiler Room. Oh, this is actually a really good turn. But this is really great. We can talk about Wall Street movies.
Okay.
So Boiler Room with what's his name?
Giovanni
Ribisi, and it had Vin Diesel in it and Ben Affleck. That came out, I don't know, 2000 or so. So that was based loosely on Jordan Belfort and Stratton Oakmont, which was popular. Or he was operating in the 90s during the dot-com boom. So the real Jordan Belfort was operating out in Long Island in the late 90s, trying to do his thing. That spawned the movie Boiler Room, which was a loosely based take on him. The Wolf of Wall Street came along, and that was supposed to be a much more direct pull of, his entire story.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it's so funny. I was just literally talking about The Wolf of Wall Street like an hour ago with my buddy. We were just talking about Martin Scorsese and getting into his movies. What a great movie. Not to get off on a topic of good movies, though.
So if you could, because I know I watch it, and I watch a movie like The Wolf of Wall Street, and I see it for what it is. I think the areas that I think of as farce and what I think of as embellishment would probably be very different than someone that if you were watching it, what you think of as embellishment and farce and craziness. I mean, when you watch a movie like that, someone who has never spent time on a trading floor, someone who has never spent time dealing with those types of people, quite frankly, what would you think is the most unrealistic thing?
Oh,
probably very different than what I would think.
I would. It's hard because so much of the movie, not that it feels overly dramatic, but it just that these characters, they are real people, and so they have probably done, if they're making a movie about them, they've done some insane shit. I don't know if we can curse on this. Can we curse on this?
Yes, we're good.
Okay. They've done some insane shit.
Yes, damn it, George. Swear. God damn it.
God darn it. Oh, golly. Yeah, they've done some insane shit. And, if they're making a movie about it, I have to believe.
Let me put it this way. In The Wolf of Wall Street, there's a scene where they toss the midget in the Velcro suit onto the wall.
Yeah.
That did happen.
And you know what? That probably, I actually forgot about that scene until you mentioned it to me right now. So that would probably be one of the most things. So I'd be like, did this really happen? But I guess it did.
Hookers in the office, that really happened. Like that sort of stuff was all real and not insane. I mean, it's insane, but I mean, it's not like so insane that it's like it's not like they were the only ones and everyone else was angels. Like,
Well, it's such a. It's so funny because I feel like we have almost two very different demographics for this movie. The people that grew up in the time of business like that, of the Jordan Belfort area, era. And then you have people kind of my age and younger that the workplace, you almost don't hear about those extremes nowadays. You don't, that stuff, it might happen, but I feel like you don't hear about it happening,
So I think you're right and wrong. So you're right. I'm a bit older than you. And what I can tell you is that after every recession or every financial crisis, things got watered down and tamed by an extra degree. So, for example, I started my career immediately after the 2008 financial crisis. And I can't tell you, and come 2010, 2011, all the people who were, VPs while I was a young analyst, they would say to me, "Oh, you should have been here before '08. We had such crazy parties and everybody could do all this stuff, but now it's all buttoned down and whatnot." But then if you go and find somebody who was like big in like the early to mid 90s, right when Jordan Belfort was coming around, he'd always be like, "Oh, you should have seen what it was like before the .com bust, before in the late 90s, it was so like everybody was printing money and blah, blah, blah." Like one of my first managers, he was at the time a senior risk manager when I came along, but in the late 90s, he was a market maker who made some good coin, like just trading all of the tech stocks in the late 90s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So every generation and every like group that comes before the last always says that, "Oh, you should have been here when." And that's the same thing for when you're like like the dad who says like, "I used to go uphill both ways to school."
Yeah.
Like everybody always says that it was, "You should have been here when I was around," or you have it so easy these days. A lot of that happens, So
Absolutely.
I think that you're right that it is much more tame now, but it's always been trending in that direction. On the other hand, there's all sorts of new crap that comes along. So the big thing over the last couple of years was crypto. So
absolutely.
So like SBF just was found guilty recently.
Yep.
And God only knows what he'll be sentenced to actually, but the story, I didn't follow it that closely, I'll be honest with you, but the stories of how those people behaved was on par with Jordan Belfort throwing a midget into a bullseye.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, they were doing drugs, they were all having orgies, they were burning money left and right, they were just insanely out of control.
And correct me if I'm wrong, it's because of, I'm guessing, how volatile cryptocurrency was. It still is.
Well, here's the thing. Like, so Jordan Belfort was flat out committing fraud.
Yes.
In parts of it, right? He was flat out not playing by the rules. Neither were these guys, and that's the difference. These guys weren't super skilled traders in crypto, and they were making millions and millions of dollars. They were flat out siphoning the money that was being deposited into these entities.
Yeah,
so it was like flat out fraud, and there's a big difference between it being just people making it's like if you're a lottery winner and you burn through all your money because you're going to Vegas and you're doing all this crazy shit and you're buying boats and you're investing in money, and it's like, okay, you're burning through the money like you're Brewster's Millions.
Yep.
But on the other hand, there's just flat out fraud.
Yes.
And that's when you start to get into that excess area. Like, it's not a coincidence that as soon as the markets change, and this, I know this might be a little out of your thing, but it's not a coincidence that some of the crypto exchanges started to go bust as soon as interest rates started to rise and things in the financial world got a bit tighter. Suddenly all the money that was sloshing around was no longer there. And so there's the old expression that, like, wait till the tide goes out and you see who doesn't have a bathing suit on. So you get a lot of that when that happens. So
absolutely.
It's interesting to see how each generation gets their own version of that. I mean, you had Wall Street with Charlie Sheen in the 80s talking about how that insider trading game played, and then you had Boiler Room in the 90s and the 2000s and about that, and you had Wolf of Wall Street, which also talked about it but kind of put its own spin on it. The Big Short, like, it goes on and on and on, all these things. It's the same damn film every time. It's like things start out good, then you find out they're cheating, then it goes bad, and then it resets and it starts all over again.
Did you happen to see Dumb Money that came out this year?
Dumb Money?
Yeah, it's about the GameStop squeeze. It was the short end of squeeze.
I have seen some of the GameStop meme stock documentaries, but I have not seen one, Dumb Money.
Yeah, so Dumb Money came out. Little plug, just because it's of what we're talking about. Came out a couple months ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago.
Okay.
And it was about the so GameStop, bunch of Robinhood traders, one in specific, found out that a bunch of these companies were putting a short on the GameStop stock. Went on Robinhood and invested a bunch of money into it to squeeze the short. It is a great. I was actually on Robinhood. That's because that was right after the pandemic. So a lot of us weren't working. So that's when I actually turned to Robinhood and I got a little bit into stocks and cryptocurrency.
Okay.
And so I got to see this unfold in person, and being able to watch it definitely brought me back some of the stupid memes, but you should definitely check it out. It's a really good movie. And maybe for those that don't know about, how, I feel like everybody that watches this knows how squeezes and shorts work,
I'm never assuming people who are listening to this know exactly the mechanics of things. To be perfectly honest with you. I do try to make a point to explain it whenever I can, to the best of my ability. But yes, when you're shorting something, you're betting that the price of it's going to go down.
Yes.
It's the opposite of buying. Yeah. That's the long and short of what you need to know. No pun intended. Yep. You're referring to more of a documentary. Have you ever seen Margin Call with Zachary Quinto?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so now Margin Call is a bit of a cult classic. And it is considered, I think, the best cross-section of very accurate finance, trading, risk management, like that really knows the business side of what happens quite well and explains it really well. But it's crossed with excellent story and drama. And quite frankly, acting talent. You have. Okay. You have.
I do like Zachary Quinto.
And you have Kevin Spacey. You have Stanley Tucci. You have Demi Moore. You have Jeremy Irons. Jeremy Irons more or less shows up in the third act and basically steals the finale.
As he does,
As he does, right. But Margin Call, it was arguably one of the top tier Wall Street movies, and it gets a lot of credit simultaneously among people who know Wall Street and filmmakers, moviegoers, cinephiles, because it was done so well. It has Paul Bettany in it as another guy who's in it.
Okay, wow.
So there's a ton of guys in it that really show up their
Margin Call?
It's called Margin Call. It's old. It's from 2011.
Oh, it's not too old.
Okay, fair enough. The basic premise is that it takes place over a single night, and the guys on the trading desk figure out that they're holding things that are going to be worthless very soon, and so then over the course of the night they figure out how they're going to handle it, and then they eventually manage to sell it all and kind of basically screw over everybody else. That's the very, very, very bare bones plot of Margin Call, but.
Well, remind me what a margin call is, because I feel like it's it's putting money. It's like putting money you don't have yet in a stock, right?
Yeah. Okay, so first of all, regarding the movie, Margin Call is a great name for the movie. It actually doesn't. Okay. The actual mechanics of a margin call are not that applicable to the plot of the film.
Gotcha. Okay.
When you're talking about just the raw definition of what a margin call is. So if you are an individual and you open up a account with a broker to buy, let's say, stocks.
Okay.
You can do it in one of two ways. You can do it with a cash account or you do it with a margin account. In a cash account, if you deposit $100 and you buy one share of stock that's trading at $100 You now own one share of stock, and you paid $100 for it. It's very straightforward.
Yes.
With a margin account, you are permitted to trade for less than the full amount of the price of the stock. So the basic margin account is called a Reg T margin account. And now I understand how it works, but just it's worth noting I'm not actually currently a registered broker. So I'm just saying I'm not giving financial advice. I'm not explaining how things work as possible. I get a few of the minor details wrong because I'm not currently a registered broker. I took my broker's license test like 12 years ago. But when you have a margin account, you would deposit $100, and then if you want to buy a share of stock that costs $100, you may, but you're only required to apply $50.
Okay.
So now you have a share of stock and $50 in your account, because when you're doing it on margin, you only have to put in half. So you put in $50.
Okay.
What you could do is buy 2 shares of stock with your $100 now, because you have margined yourself at a rate of 2 to 1, which is what Regulation T legally allows you to do.
Gotcha.
Now, let's say the price of the stock goes down, right? So now the stock isn't $100. Is now it's in this severe case, it's now $50.
Yeah.
Well, you lost $50 on 2 shares of stock, so you owe $100. You had $100 in your account. Now you have $0 left in your account to work with. You with me so far?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so now it's gone down, and you have 2 shares of stock worth $50 a share. You don't have any excess money anymore. Let's say it goes down $1 more to $49. You owe $2 more now because it went down another $1. But you don't have any more money. That's called a margin call.
Okay.
You are being told that someone, like literally, if it was the 1980s, it would literally be you get a call on your phone and it's your broker and he's saying to you,
hey, you owe $2.
You owe $2.
Gotcha.
You don't have $2 in your account. You had $100 and you lost $100. Now you just lost another $2 and you have to put $2 in to be even. Otherwise, your account is done. We're going to sell the stock and you owe the money.
Gotcha. Absolutely. 100%. I follow. Absolutely.
So that's like a margin call is when you are literally told you have to put more money in your account because you have lost all of the money in your account. That's the bottom line. So in the movie Margin Call, they basically are trying to sell everything before they lose all their money. Okay. Because they're leveraged. The whole thing boils down to leverage. That's what gets everyone into trouble always, is that they're leveraged and they can't be good on their claims. Yep. Anyway, that was my long-winded way of saying it. No, it's good. It's good because like the education part of Trader Dads often gets underutilized. Like, I do want people to like figure stuff out and learn stuff and learn new things. Like I like giving the book recommendations to people because they are important things, you know.
I do. I haven't read it yet, but I do have the copy of the book that you gave. You recommended it to Mikey, and he gave me the copy.
Which because I give books to people all the time.
Straight Talk on Investing.
Straight Talk on Investing?
Yeah, here. It's Jack Brennan. More Straight Talk on Investing. It's backwards. You can't see it, but
yeah. I appreciate that. I did not give you that book.
No, didn't you recommend it to Mikey? And then Mikey gave it to me? No.
It was the other way around.
Oh,
no.
Dang it.
That's all right. It is. I read the basics. I read like the summary of it. It is a good book. I do recommend you.
Okay. Yeah,
but that was not me.
A copy. I will be reading it.
That's all right. A lot of it is anyway. My point is simply that I do appreciate that. I do hope that people do pick something up every once in a while. At some point, there's going to be much more instructional content on the YouTube channel.
Okay, nice.
I just have to find like a rhythm to get it done.
Yeah,
so that's how that goes. But let's shift a little bit.
Okay.
Let's talk a little bit. You had mentioned that you were on Robinhood at one point. I want to go back.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
I do wonder how people think of like what you did. What did you buy and sell, if I may ask?
Okay. Yes,
Robinhood
absolutely.
As a 20-something.
So yeah, I got into Robinhood. I was, gosh, it was 2019 and 20. I was 20. I was just 21.
Okay.
I was I had just turned 21 and I got into Robinhood. This was inside of the pandemic, probably a month and a half in. I kind of was not making any money. You know, I was working as a bartender before that. And when the pandemic happened, you know, everything closed. So I was at home. I was making nothing. I had to. Money was slowly dwindling down. As I was trying to keep myself busy being in the house. You know,
I know what that's like.
Yeah, it was definitely draining. But so then I got on. I was like, you know what? I knew there was a way to make some money at home just by, you know, watching something go. I was like, I could try stocks. I could try my hand at stocks. You know what? I didn't do too bad. I didn't do too bad for some guy that doesn't know. I just kind of followed the trends. I first started with cryptocurrency, and I got into Dogecoin because of the meme. You know what I mean?
You were literally a person who bought Dogecoin.
I made money off of Dogecoin.
Okay.
I made $9,000 off Dogecoin.
Oh, that's not nothing.
It's not nothing. It's not nothing. And it was right before the whole stuff with Elon Musk. You know, when he was like branding it out, you know, and being like, "Hey, everybody buy," and then it tanked. But yeah, so I got into Doge. But before all of that, before I even made money off of Doge, and I was inside of Doge, I was a part of the Bang shortage, which was BlackBerry, AMC, Nokia, GameStop. Those 4 stocks were on Wall Street Bets on Reddit.
Okay,
and
you're a Wall Street Bets guy too. Okay,
yeah, I was on Wall Street Bets. Once I got into stocks, some guy was like, "Hey, follow this."
Okay,
and that's how I knew about the BlackBerry, AMC, Nokia, GameStop, and I knew about the GameStop squeeze and Roaring Kitty and all that. But so I put money into AMC and GameStop, and I want to say I made like $4,000 off GameStop when it on its rise, and I wound up taking out before it peaked. You know, panic sell. I didn't have those diamond hands, and then I probably made like $20 off AMC because it wasn't as volatile. GameStop was the one that really had the big hike as compared to the rest of the stocks. But yeah, I got out of GameStop, and then Doge started to be up and down, and I got out of once. I probably did about a year after the tax returns on that year. I got out of Robinhood. I was like, I kind of just like I got back into my job. I was making good money. I was like, I don't need it. That made me the money I needed to get through the pandemic. You know,
I gotcha. I totally understand. On the one hand, it's all like crazy. Like that's all of that is nonsense and whatever else.
I couldn't tell you I understood a single thing.
Yeah, like it was all mania and craziness and not fundamental at all.
Yes.
And I didn't get it. I didn't get involved with any of that at all because I understood that to be outlandish in terms of eventually this would all crash and burn. Like that was eventually what I thought was going to happen all along. On the other hand, I also fully understand how young 20-somethings get enveloped in that crap, because I have been guilty. I have blown out more than one trading account in my lifetime. Believe me. I have also made money trading. Like, I was FX, retail FX in the mid 2000s was what crypto was in the mid 2010s and onward. So you used to be able to just trade like Euro USD at like 400 to 1 leverage.
Yeah.
You'll do all that stuff. I mean, and I flat out, like, I used to do it in college a little bit. I made a couple grand off of trading the euro, and I paid for a trip to go to Europe.
Yeah,
like,
that's awesome.
It happens. Like, sometimes you can pull that stuff out, that rabbit out of a hat, and it works for a while.
Absolutely.
What happens is that the problems emerge when you're trying to, do it for the long run.
Yeah, sometimes it's just lightning in a bottle.
Right. Yeah, you're just at the right place at the right time, and you're able to get something out of it. So, absolutely. I mean, yeah, anyone who thinks that they're just going to drive the Lambo around and do all the crazy things that you see on social media, that's, ridiculous. But I get why young people are kind of like, it's just a fun way to gamble and have fun. I get it.
And it's, there's a lot more of an algorithm to it than actually going to a casino. There is, if you follow the trends, it's like, that's obviously, I don't know as much as you, so correct me if I am wrong. But there is, like, there are sort of things that you can do to be in the know, in a better know than other people, right?
Sure, sure. They'll say, like, I'm smarter.
Yeah.
Like, I know more. Yeah.
Smarter than me. If you know how to read the charts and see, patterns, that I definitely am not anywhere close to being like that. But you can probably, have a better intuition about things than other people.
You can get lucky. You could be on the right side of stuff. You can have like a method to your madness, I think, is the best way to think about it. Because like the what you're driving at, you're alluding to the idea of technical analysis, which you could basically get 10 people in a room and you get 10 different opinions on technical analysis. I was a big proponent of learning it for years. Again, not coincidentally, when I was like younger and I was more involved with trading FX and the like. But the trick to it is, what do I want to say? It's not even a trick. It's just that you have to understand what you're doing and what you're not doing. I mean, you're not. It's not a science. It's an art when you're doing that kind of stuff from that perspective.
Yeah.
So if you can create steady returns and steady profits by doing it, God bless you. All power to you. But I guarantee you can. It's sometimes charting is also like looking at a Jackson Pollock painting, and it's just like stuff smeared on a canvas, and anyone can look at it and see things whatever they want to see. That's the problem with it. Is you have to get your own style and stick with it. You can't just be like, I think I'm going to use this method this week and this method that week, because what you end up getting are people who are just constantly looking for action, which is a totally different thing. You're just like looking for a reason to put on a trade. That's not what you really want to be doing for the long run. You want to have a steady, meticulous methodology that you use over and over again to kind of come at the thing. What most people don't, I think, get when they're doing like retail trading is that it's supposed to be boring. And I think that's something that people miss, is that like if you're doing it right, it's supposed to be really boring.
Yeah, you don't want like the stocks that are going to be like shooting up down. You want the slow and probably steady rise, right?
Well, you want a slow and steady return on your money. That's really what it is. And so there are various ratios that you can measure that with, like a Sharpe ratio or Sorrentino ratio, or there's some other thing you can use to judge those things. And I know you probably don't know what those are, but you can Google those things very quickly, and you get a sense of like those are risk-adjusted return measures.
Okay.
On a portfolio. The trick is that if you're doing it right, it should be boring. That's what it boils down to. Because if you're just riding the highs and lows constantly, at that point you're just gambling. You might as well be just throwing stuff on a roulette. So that's my 2 cents and my soapbox on that. So it's kind of fun to meet like a guy who actually was on Wall Street because I avoided that stuff like the plague.
Yeah.
And it sounds like though you got into that though because all of the film and industry and stuff had shut down during COVID. Is that what I'm to understand?
Yeah. I just so I was living at home with my parents when right before COVID. I had lived in Atlanta where I currently live for a couple of months, and I was like fresh 20, blew all my money, so I moved back home. And then I was working as a bartender in just a dive bar 40 minutes from home. And I was making fine money. It was a good job, especially when you're not really paying any bills. And I was working on finding more ways into the film industry in the New Jersey, New York area where I was living.
Okay.
Which there is, there's a good amount of film in New Jersey and New York. People would be really surprised to know that New Jersey has a huge HGTV presence.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Every show pretty much on HGTV is filmed in New Jersey.
I almost tried. There was a show called Kitchen Cousins or something like that.
Yeah, Kitchen Cousins. Yeah.
And I definitely tried to apply to be on that with my cousin because we needed a new kitchen. We were gold. We should have been on it. I don't know how we didn't make it.
You know what? I worked with one of the guys, with one of those guys once, just for one day. Anthony Caruso, I think his name is.
Really?
One of the Kitchen Cousins. I was doing a shoot in Jersey City. Actually, it's really close actually to Chris's place.
There's all where they were all the up and coming areas of Jersey City, as they so eloquently phrase it.
And he was just taking this old firehouse and he was making it into his new apartment with another apartment that he could rent ghosts. Yeah, I thought, hey, he had the whole like fire pole thing where coming from the living room straight down to the garage. It was awesome. It was so cool. Wow. You could find it on YouTube. I don't know if I'm in it, but I was one of the assistants on set. Really small crew, like 5 people. One day, I just did whatever they asked.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Yeah, but I got into once everything shut down. The film industry shut down along with every other industry when COVID hit. Right. And so there was, even though I had my job in bartending, I just because that shut down, I couldn't just be like, okay, I'm going to work in film. Yeah, that was done too. So I had to find some way to make money at home, and if it wasn't going to be like Uber driving, which, or Uber eating, DoorDash, which my insurance company doesn't allow. It had to be something else that I could do from home. And so, I talked to my dad a little bit, and he was like, he knew a little bit about, stocks somewhat. And he was like, oh, you should try Robinhood, and I had heard of it before. I actually, back when I was in college, the Cash app you could use to buy, because everybody had known Bitcoin at that point. It'd been around for almost 10 years by the time COVID hit. Right. So when I was in college back in 2016, 2017, the Cash app, you could buy Bitcoin through it. So I knew a little bit about cryptocurrency before then, but only what Bitcoin was, what Ethereum was, what Litecoin was, Dogecoin, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Not the insides of trading it.
I gotcha.
Yeah,
that works. So let me ask you this, so to speak. What is your next, like, what a win look like for you in terms of what you're doing with the writing and everything? Because going back to the original kind of premise here, I know you're doing something so different than this 9 to 5 banking and finance world, like what if someone asked me how do you get into banking and finance, I could give them a map. I could say you're going to do this, 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 and this. You know, what does it look like for you? Like what is a win? Like, 'cause somebody might say on my end, I'm gonna get my Series 7 license. That's my thing, and that's gonna be like the move up. Or like, hey, this is how I'm going to submit my resume and get a job as an first year analyst at Y firm. I can I get that, but like for you, like what does a win look like, so to speak? Like what would be like the best case scenario for you to have to like as a break?
So, oh gosh. I guess I kind of have two answers to that. A win for me personally, I feel like you have to have it's a lot of small wins, because it has to be, hey, I put something on a page today. That's a small win, because sometimes you can't. Sometimes your brain won't let you. The writer's block is a real thing, and sometimes you might get into a funk and you feel like no motivation to do it because you just hate what you're writing. But so sometimes it's about the small wins where it's just either putting something down or even a little bit bigger of a win. It's just finishing something, because once you actually finish something, it's never finished because you have to rewrite it. But finishing something for the first time is always a really nice feeling, because that means that you've at least done, it's probably like a good like halfway mark. You finish the script and now all you have to do is edit it.
Right.
But I would say like the break, selling something. The minute that you sell something and it gets made is the minute that people can know what you're capable of, because it's all talk before something's made. It's all just, hey, I want to be a writer. Hey, I write, but I'm not a writer. I haven't gotten paid for it yet.
Yeah. You can have 100 composition notebooks piled high with things that you've written, but it doesn't necessarily make you a professional.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if no one's read it.
Have you ever read any of Stephen Pressfield's stuff?
I don't even think I know the name.
Okay, so he did like the War of Art and several others, but they're self-help books, but they're really geared at creative types and writers.
Okay.
As painters, artists in general, but writers in particular, because he himself he wrote a book basically about how to write a book.
Oh, interesting.
But it's not the mechanics of it. He focuses on what he calls the resistance. And it's basically all of the procrastination habits one has and inability to actually get over the finish line. So you alluded to writing every day a little bit.
I need this book.
Stephen Pressfield, I'll send it to you. It's definitely it's been highly recommended by a lot of people who are just in a writer profession. And over and over again, he talks about like the resistance and how it's just the seeming procrastination of people. So many people say they have to write 100 pages, they get 98 pages done, and they can't get the last 2 pages done.
Yeah,
that's one example. Yeah. Another thing is the classic, like, I'll start tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll start that. That is the worst thing you could say.
Right. So all of those different things are things that he talks about, and they are things that he addresses. And God damn it, if it's not motivational, I will listen to. It's a short read. I'll listen to it on Audible, and you can burn through it. You can burn through the whole book in 3 hours if you're just listening to it. I'll listen to it once every 6 months. Just for just a night, just to like.
It's only 3 hours.
Whenever I'm looking for something that it's like, why didn't I submit that resume? Why didn't I write that thing? Why don't I just, every once in a while, you're just like, I just need a recharge, and it's God damn it if it's not motivational. So,
what's this called again?
It's Stephen Pressfield's books. Just he has several of them that
just
cover
all of them.
Yeah, there's one or two that were like hyper bestsellers, and then he had a couple of more like low key ones that were niche. But I'll post it in the comments here.
Absolutely. Please send me a text about it.
But I highly recommend that as something that's just like good motivation. It kind of puts your mind like in a good frame of reference, because one of the things that I love is when I'm thinking of something, I have like a sense of something, and then I independently hear somebody else talking about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they affirm your suspicions or your theory or whatever else. So a good example might be, I am thinking that this might be like a fraud or something, right? So you have you see somebody selling you something, you're like, I think this might be snake oil. I'm not really so sure. And then you independently hear from, like, you know, I don't know, Channel 9 investigators that they found out, hey, this guy's bullshit, he's selling snake oil. It's so gratifying to have that be affirmed that you kind of your instincts were correct.
Yes.
So a lot of what Pressfield talks about in his books with resistance and whatnot, he puts a name to a feeling that you're probably having, but maybe a little bit embarrassed, ashamed, confused that that feeling is in you. It's like he said, you know, it's along those lines. It's like people think that they're the only ones who are confused or procrastinating or not getting something done, and then he pins like a feeling and a name to that feeling, and all of a sudden you can identify it a lot easier. You can now work with it. So that's a big one. So yeah, I'll post the description and the books in the comment section. But
yes, please.
Pressfield stuff is great.
I actually, it's funny enough, I bought like a not exactly a motivational book, but it was a book to motivate me today.
Okay.
I bought a screenplay just to read. It was the Oppenheimer screenplay.
Oh, okay, cool. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's written in reason that it stuck out to me, not only because it's a good movie. I don't know if you've seen it yet.
No, I'm not. One of the only people who probably haven't seen it.
Hey, you know what? Take your time. Because first off, it is a long movie. Just just like Wolf of Wall Street. It's a very long movie.
Okay.
But the screenplay was written in the first person. He wrote it in the first person, so it's actually like it's almost like a memoir from Robert Oppenheimer.
Okay.
So it's really to read a screenplay in that perspective, I thought would be. I was like, oh, maybe that'll kickstart something for me. Maybe like maybe it'll help me look at what I'm writing in a different light. You know, because one of the things that I am writing is loosely based off of my life, and maybe writing it in the first.
Did you also develop an atomic weapon?
You know what? No, but I do. I know some of my farts could be pretty gnarly.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Hey, you're my brother-in-law. All right, I can. We're no stranger.
But yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, it would definitely to get me a little bit more motivated and maybe let me see things in a different light. Because it could help, you know. But I definitely want to get that. You said his name's Stephen Pressfield. Stephen Pressfield. I definitely want to read something from him.
That'll be good. Good. So I guess then you are really just looking to get yourself up the next day and get something accomplished and call that a win.
Absolutely. All right. I mean, and that is, even though I'm not WGA, I don't even have an agent. That's how a lot of people in the WGA feel, because we are in a especially now after their long, they battled out their strike and they got their deal signed a couple weeks ago. Now more than ever, we are living in like almost this era of unlimited content with how much streaming there is and like how many streaming services there are, and even stuff that's not going to streaming services that's going still to TV and to the movies. And even though there's so much of this content, there are so many writers. There are so many. Everybody and their mom wants to be a writer, especially out in LA. Everybody that's an actor is a writer. Everybody that wants to be a director is a writer. Everybody pretty much like one in three bartenders that you meet over in LA want to be a writer.
Fair enough. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
And because like everybody, all these companies, they're ready to give anybody the ticket, be like, hey, like we're going to make your thing. We're going to make your thing. But now, because of this, it's almost like, especially this real big swing in the last. This was all happening. Streaming's been around since what, 2005. It was
sure.
Netflix really started, and it started to grow. Mm-hmm. You know, since probably right after COVID, there was a squeeze on streaming, mm-hmm. where everybody started to realize the monster that they created, where we're getting so much content now that all of it's quantity over quality.
Well, sure. Look, I'm just some asshole with a microphone.
Yeah, but even this is completely different. This is this is streaming, not made by giant corporations. You know, it's
the corporations, man.
It is the corporations, man. That's what we've been saying for the last 6 months. They are so ready to make anything. They were so ready to make anything that when everybody realized that they would make anything, they wanted only the best. And now everybody's only looking for the best. It's back to kind of how it was 30 years ago, but now there's all these writers. You know?
Mm-hmm.
It's the age of streaming has spawned so many writers that now that there's a squeeze on content, or there's a squeeze happening on content right now, that all of these writers, now it's way more competitive than it was back in like the 80s or 90s, or even the 70s, when there's not a lot of stuff was being made. You know, you're almost in a rush to make something because you don't know what's going to be gobbled up. You don't know who's going to be selling something next. You know,
you summed up perfectly what ultimately amounts to a classic bubble.
Yeah,
you just described a content bubble. That
burst, there you go.
And all that was left over now that's worth the damn are the best of the best. And that's what people are trying to hash out now.
Yes.
That's interesting. I think on that poetic note, on how you just summed up the content bubble in a way that most traders would see a stock bubble, I call it a camel hump. When you see it on a stock chart, when it like goes all the way back down.
Yep.
Yeah, I call it a camel hump. But I think we're going to leave it on that note for the month.
Yeah.
So, Sean, I appreciate you being here this month. Hope to have you back. This was a great discussion.
Absolutely.
We can do another deep dive into some more Wall Street movies. I think that's a great I'm going to give it next time that I come on here, I'll give it a watch the night before. There you go. Yeah. It'd be like an unofficial, like rewatchables talk of a movie like that.
And you have to watch Dumb Money.
I'll have to watch Dumb Money.
Yeah.
So, again, Sean, thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
We'll call it. This is dropping 11/17. So, anyone, please feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel. I do a Substack once a week where you get about a 500-word prose on whatever I'm thinking of that week. Also, I do some Twitter posts for news articles and interesting points that I think people should be paying attention to. Sean, do you have anything else you want to say before we sign off?
No, I mean, just thank you for having me. It's been great, and I can't wait to see you in a couple of weeks.
All right. Sounds good. So, all right. We'll see everybody next month. Thank you.